The South African Cane Growers Association is bitter about the proposal for the doubling of the health promotion levy, or the sugar tax, in other words. The organisation says it will result in thousands losing their jobs, particularly in rural areas. Let's now discuss this with Andrew Russell, chairperson of the South African Cane Growers Association. Andrew, thank you very much for your time and for joining us. So while we understand that this policy, or the levy, was put in place with specific health focuses in mind, it does impact growers quite substantially. And as you've said there, as we've said in our introduction, especially from rural communities where jobs are insecure. Can you tell us the ground reasons for your opposition against this levy?
Certainly, Annie. The South African cane growers opposes the sugar tax or health promotion levy because of the terrible impact that it is having and will continue to have on the sugar industry in South Africa. The sugar industry supports 1 million livelihoods, and it's those livelihoods that are on the line. It's also very concerning that there have been calls to increase the tax even before we've had any evidence that the sugar tax is actually having an effect on obesity in our country.
Is there any way to balance the two issues? We find ourselves in a similar situation to the ban on alcohol sales that we've seen come up so frequently during the pandemic. And I'm sure the same kind of situation applies to you, where you find yourself facing health issues, which on the one hand we want to look after our population. Obesity and, as you've said, diabetes is a growing concern. But the livelihood of so many of our farmers, on the other hand, should be equally concerning to us. Is there a middle ground?
Well, we believe that we absolutely understand and are sympathetic to the concern around obesity, and the current indicators indicate that there is a looming health crisis in our country, which certainly needs to be addressed. But we can't gamble vital rural livelihoods and the sugar industry without any supporting data that the sugar tax is actually having its intended effect. And we know for a fact that it's having a negative consequence on the industry. NEDLAC has commissioned an independent survey of the socio-economic impact on the sugar tax, which was brought into play in 2018. And they found that in its first year of implementation in 2019, there were over 16,000 jobs were lost. 9,000 of those jobs were in the sugarcane growing sector, which, as you know, is in the deep rural areas. And it's also had a significant financial impact on our industry, but also on the broader stakeholders that feed into the sugar industry. The financial decline in investment was over 650 million rands, and the loss to the industry as a whole was in the order of 1.19 billion rand. So a really substantial impact on the economy and substantial impact on jobs, without any real evidence that it's actually having the desired effect.
So you're saying that there's no real evidence that it's having the desired effect, but surely this sugar tax was based on solid, quantifiable scientific research?
Well, it may have been, but there's no evidence that it's actually having the effect in our country. Certainly, the sugar consumption has gone down. We know that because our sales have gone down. But what we aren't sure about is what is the link between the tax and the improvement in obesity levels. And we understand a study has been commissioned, but we haven't received the outcomes of that study.
Do you think there has been sufficient reasoning or explanation why government wants to almost double the sugar tax? No,
I think that at this stage it's not government that's calling for it to be increased. There's a group of academics and an organisation that has made the call to have it increased. And, you know, I can't speak for them, but a lot of them are overseas academics that don't perhaps understand the consequences and the situation in our deep rural areas where poverty is rife and jobs are at a premium.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. We do appreciate your insights and your time this Saturday afternoon. That was Andrew Russell, chairperson of the South African Cane Growers Association.